And hello and welcome to the Missions Accepted Mission cast once again, where we're celebrating women who have made a shift in their lives to do something that is a bit more purpose-led for them, a bit more mission-driven, and to share their stories so that you can see that it's possible. Because so many women from different walks of life have been able to demonstrate the things that they've been able to do. So I'm really delighted to welcome Maxi Leigh to the program this morning. It's kind of a program, sort of a program. Thank you so much.
And thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome. So Maxi, what would be great is if you could just sort of, I understand your life was about beauty and working in the beauty industry. Tell us just a little bit about that.
Well, when I left college, I actually did a secretarial course, and I've done quite a few. I've played quite a few roles, really. I then became a fitness instructor for many, many years, and health and well-being has always been a massive part of my life. And then I went and worked. Well, we built a dental laboratory together, my ex-husband and I was there for about 5 years, and then felt I needed to do something for myself, so decided to go into the beauty industry and trained and did beauty for about 25 years.
Right, but of course that is not the mission that you're now working on. So after all that time and investing, your time and your energies into that, you've moved in to something else. So tell me about your mission and where it came from for you.
Okay, my mission, I never actually knew what my mission and goals were in life. Had no idea. But as a child, I knew that I wanted to make change, and I was going to make change on a big level. But I never knew what that meant to me in terms of my direction, with where I wanted to be in life, really. And my mission was to help men and women suffering in silence from child sexual, physical, emotional, and incest abuse, because I am a survivor myself.
All right. So how did you then make that the work that you do now?
Okay, so I had a nervous breakdown, and I shut the salon down because I really wasn't very well at all. My father had died, and he wasn't my abuser, but my father had died, and I just could not see how I was going to get better. I just couldn't move forward. I really was stuck in limbo. And then I had a pivotal moment when I sat outside. And we mustn't forget that when you've had a nervous breakdown, you really are in the darkness, and there is no hope, there is no light. And then suddenly I had a pivotal moment, and I thought, right, I don't know where I'm going to go with this, but I walked into the lounge and decided to write 10 goals where I wanted to be. I mustn't forget I'd had 5 lost years, and they really were lost years. And my first goal was to go back into education. So I went back to the Open University and did a counselling degree. And then it was to seek some help and support myself, which is what I did. So I wrote the 10 goals, and at this moment, it still didn't come to me that I wanted to somehow help men and women, but because I was suffering in silence and there were no support services where I live, it then came to me that I needed to create a talking group, just a self-help group. And that's where it all started from.
And it's gone on to do extraordinary things. So tell us a little bit about where it's at now. And I know it's not the end of the journey, but it's a long way into it now.
Well, when I went to seek support myself, I found a place in Newark. So I used to travel from where I live, 30 miles there and back, and realised that I wasn't alone. The charity was run by female survivors for survivors. So within a matter of 8 months, I'd recovered, and they invited me to be chair of the charity. So I became chair. Unfortunately, at that stage, I then developed breast cancer. So I had a full year of recovering from breast cancer, and I was still doing my studying through the Open University, and that helped to keep me grounded because it was a counselling degree, and I think that really helped me. So then, once I'd been invited to be chair of the organisation, I felt that the charity had no direction. So then I had to build a strategy of where we needed to be as a charity, engaging with outside services, which they weren't doing. I then became mentored by the chief exec of Nottinghamshire Mental Health Care Trust, and that led me to have a footprint through the doors of mental health services. So I was very, very lucky, where I was able to be coached by a director of safeguarding, and then I was able to develop training programs for NHS staff, and I was also able to public speak as well. So I was then given £250 to create a leaflet, created the leaflet with the help of NHS services, and then my focus was to network. I'm a massive networker. I truly believe in networking. And it was the networking where I was able to meet an organisation called Self-Help UK at the time. They gave me a free room and a bigger room so that we could hold our group talks, but I was also able to take individual people into a counselling room to support them emotionally. And then within a matter of 6 to 8 months, it grew beyond all expectations. So I then realised I needed help. So I reached out, and that's where we created the charity with the help of the chair and the now secretary. And we had to create we had to have permission from the Charity of Commissioners, and it just spiraled from there. I mean, this was all new to me because I'd never even thought about policies, procedures, blah, 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 what was involved, what happened to what we needed. So for me, it grew organically. It wasn't something that could be rushed. So it took me about 3 years to be able to develop our organic self-help group as well as the charity. I needed a proper, I needed to know where I was going with the business model. And the business model was all created with my own lived experiences. So today, the charity is run by those with lived experiences.
So there's so much in that story, Maxi, and I think one of the key things for people listening who might be thinking, I want to do something, I've got a thing that's really important to me, is that you almost can't plan it, right? But you choose to put yourself in it and see where it takes you. And I think we so often feel we have to have these goals and set all these things and do all that stuff, and it's just not the way that it works often when it's mission led, right? It's coming from your heart, and you create opportunities. And as you say, networking for you was one of those key things. And from what I understand, these opportunities have also taken you overseas to do some work around
Yes.
this as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I do. I consult with the Church of England and also the Roman Catholic Church. So at that time, I belonged to the Survivor Advisory Panel. And I think there was about 8 of us at the time, and I was invited to London and interviewed to be on the panel as not as a victim, as a survivor, because we now know today that a lot of outside voluntary organisations are based around lived experiences. So I was chosen, sat on the board for 6 years, and through that I was able to go and work overseas in the Vatican City, and met some extraordinary people from globally, from all over the world. And this is something at the time that the Pope wanted to see, because there was a lot in the media about survivors of childhood abuse with the church and with institutional abuse, which is where I come from, institutional abuse within the foster care system from the age of 8. Until I fled at the age of 26. And I think to myself, oh my God, it's really hard to embrace what has happened, because you don't know where you're going with the impacts and the effects of child abuse. And today, some people never get over it. But we want early intervention. We work with early intervention, so we get a lot of today. We get a lot of referrals from NHS and self referrals, but more so NHS. But I never thought for one moment that I'd be running a charity that's there to support those, throughout the East Midlands. Never in my wildest dream, never. But networking and mentoring and support was pivotal to where I am today.
So what would be, if somebody was thinking of giving up their current job and starting something new, or even starting something on the side that is mission-led like this, what would be your words of wisdom to them?
Well, you've got to do your research, obviously. You've got to do your research. And, it all depends where you want to go. But if you have a passion, and you have that self-belief, and you have the courage to leave everything behind and go with your mission, you can do it. But I feel you do need support. You really do. Unless you're able to do it, by yourself. But I know, today I have a lot of people coming to me. They think it's quite easy to just set something up, and it's not. It really isn't. And to get it, and don't forget, I'm working with vulnerable people, so it was really important that everything through our governance, they were there to help me, because I couldn't have done it on my own. I could do the talking group on my own, but then when I look back, like last week, I think, wow, I mean, just looking at all the files, and we've got 400 people on our caseload today. That might not sound a lot to some people, but in the mental health and well-being, that is quite a big caseload, and we're growing and growing and growing, but I couldn't do it by myself. I did the basic model in the outlines, and I went on my business courses. I was sponsored to develop the business model. And we must remember, Susie, that not everybody wanted to talk about childhood abuse. So for me to put myself in the arena was quite scary, but I had that inner empowerment that I needed to raise awareness on a massive level and be the voice for those who haven't got a voice. So it was about putting myself in the arena, but also having that mentoring and support.
Mm. What does it mean to you, Maxi, to be able to get up every day and do this work rather than something else?
Every day is a different day. I go into work and I don't know what's going to happen. So I do 2 days from work. On Mondays, we do a lot of teamwork. We've created our own educational programs. We've got our own focus group. I mean, it's just massive what we do today. It's a bit crazy, really. But because we've got so much to offer, every day is a different day.
Mm-hmm.
That's what there is to it. Fridays are my special days because that's when we do our personal development. Personal development changes people's lives, and they're then able to go on to our volunteering course, and then they're mentored. And through the mentoring, we're able to find out what their gifts are. So it could be somebody like who helps with all the decorating, or one of our volunteers. He's just set a new office up for us that was a shambles. Looks amazing today. And we've got support workers, we've got befrienders. And I mean, every day I'm engaging not only with outside organisations, but inside. Every day is a different day, and we get really excited about going in because we're very, very supportive of one another. Even today, we're very, very supportive of one another. And we're just really, really happy in the work that we do. We really are. So every day, it can be very challenging at times, but I love challenges. We have to have challenges, and it doesn't matter if the challenge has failed. You just get up and try it again. It's not a failure, it just wasn't meant to be. So I'm a massive positive influencer.
Yeah.
And I want to change people's life. I want to change the men and women's life who've never had a voice, that have been too scared to ask for help and support. That is my mission in life. It's an amazing mission.
It is an amazing mission, such important work. But Maxi, almost more importantly was the fact that you listened to the call and you decided to put aside all your doubts and all your concerns and used your past and your lived experience and the skills you learned in the beauty industry and the skills you learned by having your own business and all those things to bring it together to offer something that helps mend our world. And that's what I want to see, more women, particularly in their 40s and 50s, who bring all that with them to do their bit, because we've got a lot of mending to do.
We have.
So thank you so much, Maxi, for joining me today. And we've got the details. Just give us the name of the charity again in case people can't read the notes.
So it's Support for Survivors. And if you have a look on the website, www.supportforsurvivors.org.
Fabulous. Thank you, Maxi, for your time today.
Welcome, Susie. Thank you.